Tim Pool was made way too much money off of Alex Jones. Or has made, I'm guessing you meant. Yeah, fuck Tim Pool. Tim Pool is 100% just there for the money. His calculus is he has no principles of his own. He rides the fence so that he appeals to as many people as humanly possible and doesn't break any rules. And that's his principles. His principles are appeal to as many people as possible and don't break any rules that will affect your funding. And that's his ethics. His ethics are to be making money off of as many people as he can. And to stay promoted by the algorithm. And to keep getting invited onto like Joe Rogan and stuff like that. That's his ethics. He doesn't have any convictions. But he's not American either, so, you know, why would he? Let's take a look here. If I take the hat off, will he die? Well, people have taken his hat off and then they almost die laughing. You should interview Jared Taylor. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Were you always based? Not as based as I am now. I was always on the right, and I've just been like listing more and more to the right as the years go by. But I was more libertarian not that long ago. I'd say like 5 years ago, I was more libertarian, and but I always knew there was I was always anti-immigration because I've lived in areas that were affected by immigration more so than like most people. And I've had to deal with it, and I've known it's a problem because like it affected me every day. And I mean, I got into a lot of random fights with Mexicans that were totally pointless. You know, like actual like Mexican gangsters, like actual fights. Because I just went to schools where like that was part of the diversity of the experience, right? And look, I'm good at pattern recognition. But at the same time, I kept most of it to myself because I was like, well, maybe maybe we just have to give him a chance. Maybe after like a couple generations or whatever, like doing the white guy thing, the nice white guy thing. And then it wasn't until I saw the IQ. Really, it was the IQ data that Stefan Molyneux provided that I was like, oh god, and that in the crime statistics, where you realize, oh, so my evidence isn't anecdotal. My evidence is very typical. Like the patterns I'm recognizing, the experiences I'm having are very typical of a much larger problem. Oh, and that's when I was like, oh shit, we fucked up. Well, and by we, I mean the boomers. Devon, opinion on Happas. There's nothing wrong with Happas. I know I talk shit about Tim not being American, and that's true. I think they have identity crises a little bit, right? Like, because it's like a split. Like, you know, look, there's entire subreddits about the mental disorders of being a Hapa, and I know that's not every Hapa, right? But that's it. Look, you know, it is what it is. I don't have any strong feelings about Happas. Like, just because I'm aware of the race problems, and this is the thing that people get wrapped up because of the programming that's been put in your head to equate, oh, if you notice the differences between races, you must hate the other races. And it's like, no, I don't, by and large. And, I'm even willing to look at solutions where we compromise a little bit on this just because of the mess we're in. At least in the short term, right? But yeah, there's differences. They are real. And lying about those differences is killing us. Literally killing us. I liked your millennial interview by you're talking to someone else. I'm fine with admitting I have preferences. Yeah, I have preferences. I would rather live among whites. And look, because I've lived in diversity my entire life. When I lived in California when I was a little kid. And when I was like I'm going to have to think about this. It might have been second grade. I got jumped by a gang of Vietnamese kids of all people. It was super diverse, but we had a lot of jungle Asians and just random people, right? Because a lot of Asians are just in California, and we had Asian crime fucking problems in the city that I lived in. Like literally, like I don't know what the names of the gangs are, but like Asian mafia type shit, where they would come in with an Uzi and gun down half the people in a bar and stuff like that. And that happened when I still remember, because they played like the security camera footage and just thinking like, good Lord. And I went to a school where it was probably half white. And, all my friends mostly would end up being white because we would just have more in common. And usually when you had problems with other kids, it was like a non-white kid. And you're kids, right? It's not because you like, oh, I hate Mexicans, but just like you're raised totally different. You have totally different values. You have totally different expectations in terms of what is normal in a social interchange. And it leads to fights at a very early age. Like, it was rough. I got in so many fights. Look, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I still got in a lot of fights. Like a lot of fights for, being an elementary school kid. And I would rather my kids not be in an environment like that. I once moved from a very diverse area to a very white area. And it affects so much that it's almost like, I don't know if you guys saw when Molyneux went to Poland. And he was surrounded by like all these like white people, and he was talking about how great it was, and he was almost sobbing. In fact, I think he started crying a couple times because it really is. It is weird how, like, you don't realize how much you're kind of like in defense mode. How much you're always watching your six, how much you're always like on edge a little bit all the time. You don't realize that until you're somewhere where you can relax. I went to the Ukraine for a while, and I was in Kiev and Lviv. Same thing. I saw one black person the entire time I was there. Everyone else was European. There were some Polish people, some, they weren't all Ukrainian, but they were all European. And even though I speak very little Russian and pretty much no Ukrainian, and they don't speak, like, I expected them, because I'm an American and that's what Americans do, I expected that more of them to understand English than they did. But even though there was that communication barrier, and I would get lost a lot, and there was shady stuff. Like, look, it's Ukraine. It's not the richest country in the world. There was a guy who got like his bag stolen waiting for the train. It was another American just happened to be there, and he didn't watch his luggage, and someone snuck away, and that's kind of shitty. But like, by and large, like, I felt like just at ease. I felt relaxed. And Slavs aren't even really white. I was kidding.
The black Frank Gelada, a gangster judge, therefore unprosecutable. The blackish, menial, negroidic in appearance and demeanor, felon, vicious, parroting puppet, ex-district attorney Nassau County, can watch my Frankenstein eyesight television playback of this felonious, lowly, sodomistic display by the felon, sodomist Judge William Sullivan and his lowly felon slut wife during my trial in Nassau County.
If Slavs are not white, please tell us who it is. I'm just giving you guys shit. I like to make fun of Slavs because, I don't know, they're easy to make fun of.